In the last video, we spoke about the Swadhisthana Chakra Aksharas, which represented the aspects of Durga, Lakshmi, and Saraswati, which in turn were, in a way, summaries of the Aksharas pertaining to the previous three chakras, that is Vishuddhi for Saraswati or Jnana, Anahata for Lakshmi or Icha, and Manipura for Durga or Kriya. For proceeding further from the Swadhisthana, we come to the Mooladhara Chakra, which is the root chakra or the last chakra, the most evolved chakra. And there are 4 aksharas in this chakra corresponding to the 4 petals. By and large, the aksharas correspond to the 3 aspects of Icha, Jnana, Kriya again, but rather than seeing them as Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, one sees them as Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra. Here the aspects of Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra are representing the aspects of creation, preservation, and destruction, and are in a way representations of the same Icha, Jnana, Kriya. There also is a 4th petal in the Mooladhara Chakra, which means there is a 4th akshara, which corresponds to Turiya, which lies beyond the 3. So considering the 3 as Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, one sees that what lies beyond the 3 is Ganesha and Skanda. So aspects of this are also seen as Turiya. Now starting with this, the first akshara is Varada, which is Va, also called as Narayani. This akshara is physically seen as the right part of thorax or the upper body. This akshara is interesting as an aspect of Vishnu, which is where Va, the name Va comes. But Va is also seen as Varuna or the Varuna Bija, which is the water Bija or the water akshara. And as aspect of Varuna, it also establishes the dharma or righteousness, which is a key component of Varuna. Thus, as Lord Vishnu enshrined in this concept, it is all about giving boons, which means Varada, also in punishing the wrong and rewarding the right. Physically, Va is seen as the Mayan and Central America, which has a very long culture with many deities, similar to the concept of establishing righteousness, which corresponds to the aspect of Va. In temples around Kumbakonam, there is Kapisthalam, which is on the way between Kumbakonam and Thiruvayyaru, and this place enshrines the temple of Gajendra Varada as Lord Vishnu. This temple is famous as the incident where Lord Vishnu gave moksha or salvation to Gajaraja, or the king of elephants, who was in turn an incarnation of the king Indradyumna. So this happened with Gajendra or the Gajaraja praising Lord Vishnu for a period of 1000 years, beginning with calling the Lord as Adi Mulame, the very source of everything. And as the site of the Gajendra Moksha, Kapisthalam is a very significant Vishnu Kshetra. The physical manifestations of Va as the right thorax continue with Sha at the left thorax. So the next akshara is Sha, corresponding with Sri Devi or Mangala Gauri. As much as Va symbolized Vishnu, Sha symbolizes Shiva or Shambhu. And in fact, Sha is seen as the bija for Shambhu. Now one understands that in this aspect, Sha represents auspiciousness, which is Shri or even Mangala, and for this reason Lord Shiva, who destroys, it is seen as the destruction of everything that is transient and impermanent, forms a way for leaving only what is permanent and what is real behind. So this means that the akshara of Sha ensures auspiciousness through this destruction aspect of Lord Shiva. This also corresponds to the concepts of Yama seen earlier. Physically, while Sha represents the left thorax, geographically Sha represents the Native America or the USA, western part of Native America in particular. It is interesting to see that the western part of Native America had given birth to many different civilizations, the Native American civilizations, which still persist till this date in places like Arizona, as well as there is an abundance of farm and farmland in the Midwest in areas such as Nebraska, and Iowa. So this is a sign of auspiciousness, especially considering the geographic fact that humans migrated to America after a very long and tiresome journey from India, which involved crossing China, crossing Mongolia, and the vast and chilly Siberian desert, which was very hot, harsh climates. Also crossing the Bering Strait into Alaska, which produced more of the same chilly winter and ice. And after crossing a lot of the Canadian Shield and the cold areas, finally landed in the western part of the US. This was a land of abundance, of fertility, of rivers, and of very conducive climates, compared especially with all of the previous lands. So, as a sign of auspiciousness, this is seen as an aspect of Sha. In temples in and around Kumbakonam, there is the temple of Tirumangalakudi, which is near Aduturai and Suryanar Koil on the Kumbakonam Mayiladuturai route. And the goddess here is seen as Mangalambike. Mangalambika is seen as bestowing the boons of auspiciousness, and a lot of prayers for smooth and successful marriages are made towards this goddess. And Mangalambika and Mangalakudi are the kshetras of Mangalam and auspiciousness, corresponding with Mangala Gauri, which is the Akshara Sh. The next Akshara is Sh. As much as Va and Sh represented Vishnu and Shiva aspects, or Vishnu and Rudra aspects, Sh represents the Brahma aspect, the third of the Trinity. This Brahma, when seen along with Vishnu and Rudra, also map to the fundamental reality of Shiva, Shakti, Vishnu. In this aspect, Vishnu remains Vishnu, while Shiva remains Shiva, and the Shakti is manifest as Brahma. As an evidence of this, in Chidambaram, one sees the shrine of Chamundeshwari. She is viewed as Brahma Chamundeshwari, which is an aspect of Shakti, yet is seen with four faces, very similar to Brahma. Now, continuing on this concept, the Sh Akshara is seen as Shanda or Anukriya. Anukriya meaning a supportive and a helping role. And this Akshara physically is seen in the right abdomen, leading to the legs. And the Akshara here is a representation of the six, or the Shan. Six representing the six force, or the six vices or six bad qualities of Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Mara and Matsarya, which Shakti is adept in destroying. As such, Shanda is seen as physically with the right abdomen, but in temples around Kumbakonam there is the temple of Tirupurambiyam, which can be approached from Kumbakonam, and it is near Swamimalai. In this temple, which has the shrine of the famous Lord Vinayaka called the Pralayam Kata Vinayaka, as well as Lord Shiva as Shakshinata, here the Shakti is seen in a shrine called Guhambika. The goddess is seen holding Shanmukha or Guru Guha, the six-faced Lord, in her hands, who's Shanmukha, and as the originator of Shanmukha, the goddess is called Shanda. So this corresponds as Shanda with the Shanda or Sh Akshara Pitam. Physically, geographically, Sh is seen as the United Kingdom, the Great Britain, and most of the ancient Celtic region. Now, as much as the region of Native America, corresponding with Shiva, corresponded more with spirituality towards destruction and merging with the subtle nature. Thus, the Native Americans had their important divinity manifest as the Great American or Great Spirit. Whereas the culture of Mayans, representing Vishnu, had a belief in a god who established righteousness by rewarding right and punishing wrong. In that line, the ancient Celtic culture and civilization, particularly the Druids, believed in a importance given to priests, given to various rituals and customs, which are seen as ways to achieve salvation. In a way, these rituals and customs are very similar to the ones seen in Brahmins of ancient India, and some have even argued, saying that there is a connection between the Brahmins and the Druids and other communities such as the Druze. With all this in mind, one sees that the importance given to rituals makes the United Kingdom and the Celtic area aspect of Brahma as the Akshara Sh. Finally, the last Akshara of the Mooladhara is the Sa, which is seen as Saraswati or Siddhi Kriya. As much as Va, Sh and Sh corresponds to the the Traya of Brahma, Vishnu and Rudra, Sa represents the Turiya or the fourth one and is physically seen as the left abdomen. Here one interestingly sees the aspect of Siddhi or accomplishment which comes as a result of correct good thoughts, good deeds, good actions corresponding to Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati or Ichha Jnana Kriya, which is seen as Kayaka, Vachaka, Manasa. Kayaka corresponding to good deeds, Vachaka to good speech, and Manasa to good thoughts. When all of these are successfully done, a person accomplishes accomplishment or Turiya or Siddhi. Geographically, the Akshara Sa is seen in the area of Israel and Canaan, the ancient civilization of Jews, the religion of Jews as well as of Christianity, the origin of Christianity, the land where Jesus lived, is seen as the land of accomplishment of the promised land that the Lord showed to the people who were driven out of Egypt. And their accomplishment, the sense of accomplishment, had finally come when they landed in the land of Israel, which was the Holy Land in later stages when the Lord Himself sent His only Son as Jesus Christ. So, in this concept, one sees that the sense of accomplishment as manifest in geographical region of Sa, as in Israel, whereas in temples around Kumbakonam there is the temple of Siddhanatheshwara in Nachiyar Koil on the Kumbakonam Tiruvallur road. This is a very famous temple of Lord Shiva, also having a unique shrine of the child Lakshmi, who was later given to Lord Srinivasa of the neighboring Vishnu Koil in marriage. So this Akshara, this form of Lord Shiva as Siddhanatheshwara represents the Siddhi Kriya or the representation of this Akshara. Now finally, while these four represent the Mooladhara chakra, the last three aksharas of the 51 aksharas, which are Ha, La and Ksha, these three aksharas represent the Agnya chakra, which is the third eye chakra, and thus in origin is much older than all of the other aksharas, starting from A and ending in the current Sa. So Ha, La and Ksha correspond to the fundamental triality of Shiva, Shakti, Vishnu as manifestations of Purusha Prakriti. As much as Om manifests in the Sahasrara as an aspect of Guru itself, Guru Guha or Shanmukha, the three aksharas corresponding to the three aspects or orientations of Purusha Prakriti manifest in the Agnya or the third eye chakra, which is the chakra of Lord Ganesha. Among these, Ha, La and Ksha respectively represent the Shiva, Shakti and Vishnu orientations. In particular, Ha is Hamsavati or Adhyayani, represents Lord Shiva, and it represents equality of Purusha and Prakriti as the earliest manifestation of Purusha and Prakriti as Prakasha and Vimarsha. Interestingly, also one sees that in Ha, the Hamsa, the Ha stands for Shiva, while the Ma stands for Shakti or Purusha and Prakriti. So Hamsa is an equivalence and unification of this Purusha Prakriti, and Adhyayani is translated as the original or the oldest, the eldest one. And as an aspect of Adhyayani, in geographical region, one sees this as South Africa. South Africa represents the southern part of Africa along with Zimbabwe, Lesotho and other such countries, Namibia. There is also the culture of the Khoisan or the Bushmen, which is a very ancient culture which formed as one of the first few cultures that manifest out of the humans, earliest humans migrating from Ethiopia. So is seen in their language, which consists of a lot of click sounds, which are much different from any other language family in the world, and this represents a feature of language and of speech that was there in the very early languages but then fell into disuse in other cultures as humans migrated. Physically, the akshara ha is corresponding to the head as the near the Sahasrara, as the first region where the Kundalini evolves before descending. In temples, the heart of Kumbakonam sees Adi Kumbeshwara temple, which represents the first Kumbam, which existed before the Pralaya and was broken by Lord Shiva as the hunter during the Pralaya, and thus the lingam itself is seen in the shape of a broken pot or Kumbam, and thus the name Adi Kumbeshwara, which is an aspect of Adyayani. Next we go to the Akshara La, which is Bandha Mochini, the one that gives salvation from all miseries, sorrows, as well as deaths and responsibilities. This is an aspect of Shakti, and as aspect of Shakti, this represents the descent from the Kundalini from the Sahasrara to the Muladhara. So the Akshara is seen somewhere halfway, that is near the neck, as the back of the neck particularly. And this akshara la is often left out in counting the various aksharas of Sanskrit, because some texts stop with 50 aksharas. Some have mentioned this la to be the secret akshara or the 51st akshara, but it is only with this that the aksharas get completion. As a fundamental aspect of Shakti, geographically this akshara is seen in the high northerly and Arctic regions, where one sees Eskimos and Inuits and other such cultures, especially in the Inupiaq Nunavut region of Canada, as well as other parts surrounding the Arctic Circle. In temples in and around Kumbakonam, the akshara is seen as Runamochana, which is the shrine, the most famous shrine of the Shiva temple in Tiruchedai, which is in the Kumbakonam Tiruvallur route. The Shiva temple, as much as there's a Vishnu temple of Saranatha, there's also a neighboring Shiva temple of Sara Parameshwara in Tiruchedai. And as part of this temple, one finds the lingam called Runavimochana Lingam, which is very famous and worshipped by people for clearing debts. The worship procedure consists of worshipping the Lord continuously on 11 weeks. 11, or the 11 being a sacred number for Lord Shiva, representing the 11 Rudras. So this is an aspect of Shakti as Runamochana or Bandha Mochini as the Lakara Pitam. And finally, the final akshara is Ksha, which is seen as Kshama or Maya Mayani. As much as her and La represents Shiva and Shakti, Ksha represents Vishnu. Physically, Ksha represents the most manifest state of the Kundalini, which is in the Muladhara and Swadhisthana Chakra regions. And this corresponds with the case where a lot of concepts are manifest corresponding with the evolution of Prakriti. This is in contrast with the very subtle Purusha and Prakriti, just two elements being formed in the Adyayani times of Shiva. So as a manifestation of multiple aspects, multiple concepts, Kshama represents the peaceful tolerance and peaceful coexistence of various concepts, of various cultures, of various groups without clashing. So geographically, Ksha represents the South Europe, particularly Greece, which is the home of a very ancient civilization, which is founded on the basis of deep philosophy and as an aspect of a worldly manifestation, compared with the Ha, which is a very primitive manifestation in the Bushmen, and La, which is the manifestation of Eskimos, which are literally cut off from the rest of the world. So for Akshara Ksha, there is a temple called Kutram Purutanathar. This particular temple is can be approached by a bus from Mayiladuthurai. It's in a place called Thalai Nyairu. Kutram Purutanathar, also translated as Aparada Kshameshwara, narrates the story of Lord Shiva tolerating and forgiving Indrajit, the son of Lord Ravana, for having fired an astra towards Lord Shiva. As such, Kutram Purutanathar or Aparada Kshameshwara represents the concept of Kshama, which is the Akshara Pitam for the last and final Akshara Ksha. With this, the descriptions of various Akshara Pitas in and around Kumbakonam and the general significance of Aksharas as various concepts pertaining to various deities of the spiritual stages, as well as various concepts in the manifestation of the universe, which again correspond to the various chakras corresponding to gods like Skanda, Ganesha, Icha, Kriya, Jnana, Swadhisthana as Brahma, Aditya, and finally the Mooladhara as Kundalini itself. So corresponding with all of these, one sees the Aksharas being manifest as various concepts. Again, it must be emphasized that these are mind maps or non-physical level manifestations of the concepts and not physical. Though these Aksharas are studied in light of Kundalini in the various chakras, Mooladhara, Anahata and so on, the Aksharas themselves are manifest in the 8th Avaranam, which is before the physical creation, that is in the Turiya state, much before the manifestation of Skanda itself. However, the stages starting from Skanda and Sahasrara going all the way to Mooladhara is when the Aksharas gain physical significance as Ahata or uttered sound rather than Anahata or the unuttered sound. Finally, one can see that every name, every alphabet, every mantra, every chant, every song, and literally every aspect of the spoken language is composed of these aksharas, which themselves have individual significance that were discussed in these videos. So now one understands that when one has the 51 concepts and understands the significance and meaning of these, one can construct any word to bring certain energies or certain concepts together into a unique creation, and by repeatedly chanting this, one can evoke the sound waves to materialize the concepts, the desired concepts and aspects of the aksharas in reality. This is the power of mantras, which is used in various stages of the spiritual progress, for example as in Japam. But also mantras can have devastating effects. For example, in the Kurukshetra war of Mahabharata, one sees where astras were fired, as in Brahmastra, Pashupatastra, Narayanastra, Nagastra, Varunastra, Agniastra, and so on, were all fired using aksharas. Though scientific studies have claimed presence of radioactivity in the Brahmastra, confirming that this is indeed a nuclear weapon and was launched in Kurukshetra, it is interesting to see that the Brahmastra did not involve radioactive material per se, but rather involve the radioactive energy which was launched through the aksharas. Such is the power of aksharas as various concepts which can perform various actions pertaining to the various levels of creation. So with this stage, one completes the spiritual part, including the aksharas as well as all the other stages that had been discussed in earlier sections of this video, starting from Guru, that is in Shasta and the Moksha stage, all the way till Samsara in the last stage. And the entirety of this is seen as the temple of Tiruvarur as well as various temples in and around Kumbakonam. The next portion of the video focuses on a particular deity called Lord Venkatesha, where one can see the aspects of all of these concepts enshrined in a single form.